Hello, my friends, and happy Thursday morning, Thursday evening, and happy Eve of St. Patrick's Day. So tomorrow, of course, is St. Patty's. We're all excited, and today's projects, and there are two of them, are the, St. Patrick's Day, of course, is the inspiration. So that's the good news. The good news is that we have a couple of fun projects, and I certainly have a lot of color choices for you. So that is all good news. The bad news, of course, is that I feel like I'm very, very late with this video. And that is because I kept waiting for this one component. And of course, I didn't even realize that I'm doing this video the day before St. Patty's. So unfortunately, those of you who are not local, there's just no way we can get the kits to you by St. Patrick's Day. But then again, when you see the kits, you will probably decide for yourself, and I'm showing them to you right now. So I'm hoping that you decide that you can just celebrate all year round, because these are actually somewhat, how can I say this? Not exactly neutral, but you can definitely wear them much more than just for St. Patty's. So this first bracelet I called Shades of Shamrock. And the green, of course, is so much more of a traditional color for St. Patty's. It's different shades of green. But then, of course, I had to do something not quite traditional. And my second color option is inspired by watermelon tourmaline, hence the name, watermelon tourmaline dream. And then it gets even more fun and wild as far as colors, and this is called Celtic Elegance.
Karen says good evening, everyone.
Hi, Karen. Good evening.
Julie says hello, friends.
Hello, Julie.
Jeline says hello.
Hi, Jeline.
Trudy says hello, everyone.
Hello, Trudy.
And Kathy H says hello, everyone.
Hello, Kathy.
Amy says hi, everyone.
Hi, Amy.
Ellen says hi, Irina and everyone.
Hello, Ellen.
Patricia says good evening, everyone.
Hi, Patricia.
Katie S says good evening, all.
Hello, Katie.
Dorina says hello, everyone.
Hi, Dorina.
Angela says good evening.
Hi, Angela.
And Sue says hi, everyone.
Hello, Sue.
Carol says so pretty.
Thank you so much, Carol.
Sandy says hello, all.
Hi, Sandy.
Pam J says howdy.
Well, howdy to you, Jay.
Lorraine says hi, everyone.
Hello, Lorraine.
Pammy J says good evening, Irina, Tony, Lauren, and everyone.
Hi, Pammy J. How are you, my friend?
Jane says hi, everyone. These sure are pretty, Irina.
Oh, thank you so much, Jane. All right, guys. So you combine a little bit of a Celtic theme and the sparkle of Swarovski, and in my world, you cannot go wrong with that. And yes, these are Swarovski crystals we're still using. In some cases, this is kind of the last Coca-Cola in the desert, as in the last of my Swarovski colors in some of the cases went towards making of these kits. So we are going to enjoy them. As you know, we can no longer restock our Swarovski. We did stock up quite nicely before they stopped selling to our industry. But of course, at some point, all good things must come to an end, right? So this is what we're exploring today. Not one, but two different projects. But they have some similarities as far as construction. And they're both very, very simple. And in fact, they're so simple that they could even be your very first project ever. So if you do have friends who are just maybe starting out in making jewelry, this would be a really good video to tag them.
Tanya says, Kia ora from New Zealand.
Oh, Tanya, kia ora. We have been to New Zealand airport and we would love to visit your beautiful country sometime in the next few years.
Sandy says, each of those are beautiful. Can't beat the sparkle of Swarovski.
Thank you so much, Sandy. Okay, ladies, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you. So I did pre-string a little bit, and I'm just going to do this as a show and tell as far as the pattern. But I'm thinking you don't really need to sit and watch me string for 10 minutes straight. I think that'd be a little boring, but this is what I'm going to point out. I'm just going to move my Celtic Elegance samples and we will focus on shades of shamrock. And whether you're from New Zealand or Ireland or Ukraine, wait, that's me. It's, we're all Irish on St. Patty's. And of course, I'm very proud of my 4% Irish, as I found out through taking the genetic test. So anyway, green is wonderful. I love green, but why not introduce a few other colors, right? The more color, the better in my world. So a little bit about the color choices.
Valerie says, hello from Florida.
Hi, Valerie. I hope your weather is nicer than ours is today.
Connie says, hello, everyone. Beautiful.
Hi, Connie. Thank you so much.
Rita says, hi, dear.
Hi, Rita. Okay, ladies. So each of these bracelets has 4 colors of Swarovski. And when we look at the greens, it's not quite as obvious probably, but when you look a little closer, and I didn't grab the individual beads, but you just look at the sample and we'll all figure it out. So you can see that it starts out with a very light color, goes to a slightly darker color, then a slightly darker color yet, the darkest one, and then it starts going back so that there's a color gradation. So we go from light to darker, darker, darker yet, and then lighter, 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 light, and then back to darker. Okay, so that's pretty much how it goes. When it comes to, so again, there are a total of 4 greens. When it comes to the variation that's inspired by watermelon tourmaline, there are still 4 colors. However, this is the color gradation. So we go from green to black diamond, which is kind of a gray. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. Okay, so we go from green to black diamond, which is a gray, but with maybe like a hint of green. Then we go to antique pink, which blends really nicely with the gray. And then we go to the brighter Indian pink. And and those are Swarovski names. I didn't name them. And I'm imagining that Indian pink is probably inspired by some beautiful saris. Okay, so this is our color gradation. And I thought it would be fun to explore different ways to create that color gradation. So when you look at my 2 finished pieces, you can see that each bead is a different color. So a green is next to a gosh, what did I just call it? Black diamond, right? So green, black diamond, antique pink, and so forth, right? But then, what if we do a little bit more of a color block? And so with the new sample, the one I'm going to be demoing on, I explored a little bit more of color blocking. And so instead of using just the one single bead in a specific color, I use 3 beads and then I move on to the next color. And again, you have 3 beads in that color and so forth. And to be honest, I kind of like the new variation. So when you look in the Etsy shop, you will not see this sample because this is literally a work in progress. But it's very simple to just string your beads, play with your beads, maybe try a couple of different variations and see what you like. Or maybe you already know what you like. In fact, if you know what you like, please let me know what your preference is. I always like to know what you guys are liking.
Rita says they mix so beautiful together, all together.
Thank you so much, Rita. So again, do you guys like it where I used single beads in a specific color, or do you like the color blocking variation? So, so I would love to know your opinion. And oh, sorry.
Tanya says, I miss those Swarovski names.
The Swarovski.
I so miss those.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Well, we still have a nice selection of Swarovski here in the store, and we do have a little bit in the Etsy shop. And if there is something that you're looking for, you can always contact us.
Lonnie says, good afternoon, ready for more inspiration.
Hi, Lonnie. Thank you so much, and I'm so glad you joined us.
Carrie and Katie like the color block.
Oh, thank you so much, ladies. You know, I have a feeling that this is going to be the more popular way to do it. And at some point, I might even redo my green sample because I think this is more fun. This is just, you know, it's a little bit of a bolder look. I think especially in the greens, it looks a little bit too subtle where you don't see the color gradation. I think with the color blocking, you will see it so much more. But again, you know, when you get your kits, you can always decide how you prefer it.
Pammy J likes the green.
Oh, thank you so much, Pammy J.
Rita likes the mixed ones.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Kim K says, happy Thursday. I like the color block design.
Hi, Kim. Thank you.
Karen says, the blocking pulls the eye.
Thank you so much. Yes, I think maybe that's my preference right this moment. I don't know. Maybe, you know how sometimes when something is new and it's like the new shiny thing and you're attracted to that, but who knows? Maybe tomorrow I'll decide I like the other one better. Okay, guys. So either way.
Fonda likes the block too.
Oh, thank you so much, Fonda. I'm so glad. I'm very happy that, you know, I decided to explore the blocking thing kind of last minute. So I think it would be fun to maybe explore different ways to put it together. It's a very, very simple project, but still you can make it your own. Okay, ladies. So as I said, I did the pre-stringing. So since I'm not doing a demo on how to string it, there's really no point. But I do want to point out that when you get your kits, there will be some seed beads in it, which are, and these are those metal seed beads. These are not glass. These are the really, remember those seed beads with the really teeny, the bead itself is pretty tiny, but it has a large hole, so it's incredibly easy to string through. Oh, and you know what I just noticed? I just noticed a little boo-boo right here. I just noticed that I have 2 beads right here instead of 1. And you know, the really easy remedy, instead of taking everything off and restringing, we're just going to do a little surgery and it's like it never happened. And okay, so now we're good.
Katie S says, I think I'm going to make the green version in the blocked pattern.
Oh, thank you. I think that'll be really nice.
Lorraine likes the green.
Thank you so much.
Connie likes the color blocking.
Thank you, Connie.
And Betty says the color block is more elegant, very pretty.
You know, I am definitely leaning that way right now.
Tanya says, I thought those two were there for design. The two little beads.
Oh, the two little beads? So let me explain.
She thought it was a design element.
Oh, gotcha. You know what? If you think it looked cool, make it a design element. But it wasn't really my intention. It was just a mistake. Okay, ladies. So this is what I would like to point out. So you will get two different sizes of seed beads. Can you guys see that one is quite a bit larger than the other?
Pammy J says you're a painless surgeon.
Oh, thank you so much, Pammy J. So this little, oh my goodness.
Shamrock.
Shamrock, thank you. Shades of Shamrock. It's my baby. I named it, and then I had a little block. But not a color block. Okay, guys, so I'm showing you that the hole in the shamrock is quite large. So when you start stringing, and I like to start stringing from the center, so I'll put my center piece on, and then I just kind of string from both sides. So when you start stringing, please use the 11-0 beads next to the shamrock, because if you use the 15-0 beads, the little teeny beads, they're just going to kind of slide into the hole in the shamrock. So we don't want that to happen. So we want it framed nicely. And I think that little bit of metal just gives it a nice look. It separates it. And then we start stringing our beads in whatever order we want. And we're spacing our beads with the little seed beads, with the 15-0s. And I chose to do that because I thought that using the larger 11-0s would have been a little overwhelming between the 4-0, or rather the 4mm bicones.
Tanya is wondering what you are stringing on.
Thank you for asking, Tanya. I am stringing on soft flex wire, which works really, really well for this type of a project. Out of all the flexible stringing wire, I really do enjoy soft flex. And now I am laying out all my little elements that I'm going to need for this next step. And those elements, of course, are the 2 crimps, the 2 crimp covers, and the 2 wire guardians.
Kathy says pretty.
Thank you so much, Kathy. So I misplaced my ruler. It's got to be somewhere in this room. Do you see, yes, Tony? Okay, so Tony's going to get the ruler for me. So in the meantime, I would love to talk just a little bit about sizing. So sizing can be a little daunting, especially when there's a clasp involved and you don't quite know how much that is going to add. So I would love to give you some measurements which will help you in the sizing of your bracelet. So my green variation is if I include the clasp and also the extender chain, is 7¼ inches. So the extender chain, of course, makes it quite flexible. It can be a 7-inch bracelet. It can be a 7¼ inch bracelet. So if you're making a bracelet for somebody other than yourself, it's very easy. You just make your best guess at the ballpark of their size and give them a little extender chain, and everybody's happy because they can, of course, clasp into any one of these links. Even for myself, I like having an extender chain. So let me break all of this down. So not including the extender chain, our bracelet is 7 inches.
Glenda is wondering, are you using the 4mm bicone and tourmaline? Sorry, late getting in.
Brenda, thank you for asking. I'm using all Swarovski bicones. And yes, there is a tourmaline. Oh, actually, no, I don't have a tourmaline color in here. There is an aeronite in both bracelets. So this right here, this pretty green, is aeronite. Okay, guys. So, so as I was saying, the little chain, the extender chain, will add approximately 3/4 of an inch, and then the part that we're going to start with, so kind of the main component of the bracelet, is what we're seeing in between these two. Do you see these little components, the wire guardians? So on my bracelet, that length is 5 and 3/4 inches. So just the part between and including the wire guardians is 5 and 3/4 inches. So what that means is that the little wrap loop components here between the two of them are going to add approximately an inch. So as you design your bracelet, as you think about sizing your bracelet, just kind of think about those measurements. So a 5 and 3/4 inch component, once we add the wrap loop components and the chain, we're adding 2 inches to our base component, right? So whatever you want your final length to be, subtract 2 inches from that, and that is how much this first component should measure, okay? That's how long it should measure. So my tourmaline dream component, that's what we called, this is what we call this colorway, right?
Yeah, watermelon tourmaline dream.
Yes, watermelon tourmaline dream. It's a mouthful, you guys.
Yolanda says hello, joining late again.
Hi, Yolanda, and thank you for joining us. And so this one is just a bit shorter because I omitted a couple of the bicones that I used in the greenery bracelet. So the total length of this, including the chain, is about just under 7.5 inches. So I hope all of that makes sense. And we are going to get started. So if you have any questions at all about measurements or anything else, so just keep in mind that this first component that we're making should be roughly 2 inches shorter than your desired length.
Carmen says hello, everyone.
Hi, Carmen, and thanks for joining us. All right, guys. So I think I am ready to start stringing my crimp onto the soft flex wire. So our little crimp tube just goes on right there. And this is just going to be the very usual way I like to finish any of my pieces where I use soft flex wire. So next, we're going to slide on our wire guardian, and the soft flex wire goes through both sides of the wire guardian so that it looks something like that. And now we're going to feed our little end right back into the crimp. And this is what it looks like. So we have our crimp, and then we have our wire guardian. And of course now we're going to use the crimper. And I think most of you are very familiar with the crimper, but just in case if you're not. So it has two openings. Can you guys see the two openings? The opening that is closest to me looks like a kidney bean. The opening that's closer to the end looks like an oval. I'm going to use that kidney bean shaped opening first, and I'm going to align my crimp right into the opening and give it a nice squeeze.
Lori says, good evening, Irina and Tony. Just joining.
Hi, Lori. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. And now I'm going to switch to the oval opening and align that with the crimp. In the meantime, the crimp now has like a little concavity. You can see that, like a little channel. And so the way that I'm going to line this up is so that through the jaws, you can see that little channel. Can you guys see that?
If you keep your fingers there, yes.
Yeah, okay. So now that I have it aligned, I'm just going to give it another nice squeeze. You know, it needs to be very nicely perpendicular to the tool. Okay, so I am just going to give it another little squeeze. And now my crimp is folded like a little book. And normally I do this before I crimp, but you can do this after you crimp. I like to move the two sides of the wire guardian just a little closer. And now we no longer need this excess wire. So we're going to cut it off, and no, please don't feed it into your next bead or anything. It will just poke out, it'll poke your wrist, it won't be fun. So I always cut it as close as I can. So next, we have a crimp cover. So the crimp cover is just an open round bead. And we're going to slide it onto our crimp, just like that. And this is a 3mm crimp cover. It's going to make a nice little round ball. I'm going to start squeezing it with my chain nose pliers. And I'm just going to continue squeezing until there's just a little tiny gap. So when you get to this point, you can't squeeze anymore. The gap will not close. So you kind of have to reposition your chain nose pliers. You really have to do that and just squeeze the one side. And now we'll turn it around and we'll squeeze the other side.
Robin says, hi all.
Hi, Robin. Thanks for joining us. Okay, and now we have a little ball with a barely noticeable seam. So that's what we're going for. We're just covering our little crimp so that it looks cute. And we will slide all the beads to the other side, just kind of let them drop so that we can do the same thing on the other side of our beading wire. And I always have my little stoppers right here so that I don't lose my beads. So again, I'm going to start with the crimp, then the wire guardian, and we go through both tubes on the sides of the wire guardian. And we're going to want to move this right up to the crimp. Just slide it right up. And now that we, oh, and I didn't go through the crimp, so we'll just backtrack a very tiny bit. So there we go. Now I did go through the crimp. And so what I want to make sure of is that as I slide my crimp and wire guardian next to the beads, I don't make it too tight. So now I really do want to close that wire guardian just a little so that I can have a more realistic picture of how much room I actually have. And So this seems to be just right because my bracelet is nice and drapey, which is exactly what we want. If we pull it too hard, it won't be drapey, and we just won't like wearing it that way. So it needs to be nice and drapey, but still have just a tiny, tiny little bit of space between the wire guardian and the crimp, and then the crimp and the next bead. So this is just right, and we're just going to repeat the crimping process one more time. So line up the crimp in that kidney bean shaped opening, and then switch to the oval opening, crimp it again. So we're just folding it over one more time until it looks like a little closed book.
Robin says, I'm late, but what are we making?
Hi, Robin. I'm so glad you joined us. I'll show you in a moment. We are actually making two different styles of Celtically inspired bracelets. This is going to be one of them. Well, this is actually the finished version. For anyone who joined us after I demoed all of the samples, this is what we're making. So this is Shades of Shamrock, and we have one in the traditional greens and one in the non-traditional green and pinks. And then, but wait, there's more. We also have Celtic Elegance. And Celtic Elegance, even though at the base of it, obviously, is a Celtic knot component, but I just want to show you, these are really quite dainty.
Robin says it's been a while. Very nice.
Oh, thank you so much, Robin. So because these are, so dainty and small, they stack so well together. So you can stack them with your other bracelets. I think my Roman glass bracelet is not like super stackable, but it can, but I don't really see it with these. Maybe just with the, oh my goodness, I'm blanking. What is this? It's indicolite, that's it. Maybe with the indicolite, it's kind of fun because it picks up the same colors. But my point is that even though these are Celtic, to me, they're kind of an all year round kind of bracelets. Actually, it would look good with the greens as well. And yeah, this is fun.
Amy says, love the colors. Just ordered the Celtic bracelet kit.
Oh, thank you so much, Amy.
Lonnie says, I like your bracelet.
Thank you, Lonnie. You know what? So tomorrow, when I do Roman glass, I think we might just have some of these bracelets that we'll either put in the Etsy shop or maybe we'll just sell them as part of the video. I think that'll be better because you might be able to pick your own. So,
Carmen says, very pretty.
Thank you so much, Carmen.
And Allie says, so pretty. I originally thought they were a necklace.
Oh, fun. I mean, it could be a necklace, but actually, I will tell you a little bit about these little links. So I love these little links. They're so dainty and sweet, but they do have a little bit of a curve. So I hope can you guys see the curve?
And Jolene is wondering if the Celtic element is base metal.
Yes, it is indeed base metal, Jeline, and thank you for asking. And we do have these little links in the Etsy shop. So if you want to design your own, you can always just get just the links from the Etsy shop. So I will say that even though it would make a really sweet necklace, but it does have that bracelet curve, plus also it's not really meant to be two-sided. So if it were two-sided, I'd be like, yeah, let's make a necklace, but it's not two-sided. So it lends itself much better to a bracelet.
Yolanda says they're all pretty.
Thank you so much, Yolanda.
And Katie says these would be great with the shamrock earrings we made a year or two ago.
Yes, you're so right, Katie. Oh my gosh. So actually, I did grab some of the other kits that we made maybe last year. I went a little crazy a year and 2 years ago, and I made all these Celtic projects that I, enjoyed making so much. So this is the Shamrock earring kit, and this is what it looks like. It actually makes a couple of different pair of earrings. So one of them is right there, and you can see mine is starting to tarnish a little bit, but I could always clean it. I just didn't. And the other one is more like that. It's really the same technique. So the obviously when you get any of the kits, it'll take you to the video. And this is actually a really fun technique to explore. I love this technique. And then we also had another Celtic earring project. And these will go perfectly with your bracelets, of course, whichever color you go with, because it's all the same shamrock. And so these are the Elegant Shamrock. Oh my gosh, these are called Elegant Shamrock earrings. Okay, I guess I'm kind of consistent in my naming. But wait, there's more.
Kathy says what would be fun is a Celtic leather wrap bracelet.
It would. And you know what? There's always next year. Right now, I'm just showing you all my little Celtic goodies, Celtic kits. And then, do you guys remember we made the sun catchers? So we still have maybe just like one or two of these. I don't know how many, but not very many. And this is a fun thing. So in real life, they look quite large. So this is not meant to be a piece of jewelry. This is just meant to be like a fun thing in your window. And then last but not least, I also have the Celtic Adventure Bracelet. So this is pretty fun. I love knotting, and of course this is a knotted bracelet, and this is what it looks like. So this is like a perfect bracelet to, drink green beer in. I'm kidding. I've never actually had green beer, but if you do, that would be the bracelet you want to wear probably. Okay, guys, so let's get back to our project. We are going to cover that little crimp. And of course, we're going to do that in the very same way we covered the first crimp. We're just going to put the crimp cover right over it and start squeezing with our chain nose pliers. And please let us know how the video feed is. Can everyone hear me? Can everybody see me? Because I know in the last few videos, we've had some issues with the video freezing. So we're actually trying something a little bit different today. And I would love to know if it's working. So please let me know, how is the quality of the video? Okay, so in the meantime, I covered my crimp with the crimp cover, and it just makes a nice little ball. And guess what? We're almost finished. So now all we have to do is just grab a color. So you always get extra beads in my kits so that you can make your piece longer, and you just have to make a decision what color bead goes at the very end. So for me, it's that pretty little pink bead that's going to go at the end. And so this kit has no jump rings, and that's because, just to make it a little different and to add another little textural element, I decided to make the connection with a wrapped loop. And so I just started my loop, and we're going to slide our wire guardian right into the loop, just like that. And now we're going to wrap the loop. So anybody who is just starting in making jewelry, I have a couple of videos just on making nice loops, but I will try to break down the steps of how to make a loop in this next loop that's coming. So in the meantime, I made my loop, I tucked in the end, and I am putting my crystal on the wire.
Lonnie says it's not freezing, thank heavens.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much, Lonnie. This makes me so happy, I cannot even tell you.
Allie and Kathy say the video is good and they can hear us, and
Oh,
Amy
that's
says it too.
wonderful.
Katie says, I'm almost afraid to say that the feed has been actually steady this week.
Oh, thank goodness. You know what? I'm so grateful for this. I can't even express how happy I am.
Ellen says, yes, much better today, no freezing or stutter.
Oh, fantastic. Isn't that nice? Well, let's hope that this continues. Keep your fingers crossed, you guys. All right, so while we've been chatting, I have already made the second loop. And as I was making the second loop, I also connected our lobster clasp. So this is a very easy way to connect your lobster clasp. It's a slightly different way than jump ring. And this is almost like a foolproof thing that you will never, ever, ever lose your bracelet. So if you have a wrapped loop as your connector, how can you possibly lose your bracelet, right? So we're going to do the same thing on the other side and connect to the other loop. So this time I'm going to break the steps down just a little bit. So we're going to make a 90-degree angle, approximately 1 inch from the end. It can be a little more than 1 inch from the end. I'm using my bail making pliers to create the loop. And when I create the loop, I like my wire to be at a right angle to the working wire. Okay, so the two ends of the wire are at a 90-degree angle to one another, which is what's going to make your wrap very nice and tight, which is exactly what we're looking for. If you have an issue with your wire just kind of like, what is it called? Like a, not spiraling, but like a,
Coil, twist.
like, if you don't have a tight coil around the wire, it probably means that you did not start out with a good 90-degree angle, because a good 90-degree angle is almost assures that you will have a nice snug little coil. Okay, so we're going to put our bead on the wire, and now we're going to leave a little bit of space between the bead and the pliers, right? So you can see there's like a millimeter of space, maybe a millimeter and a half. And this is what I find is that a lot of new beaders make that mistake. They leave way too much space, and then they end up with more coiling than what they really want. So it's all in leaving just enough space. So you do need that little bit of space so that we can wrap into. And if you think about how much space you need for just for two little coils, it really makes sense. Okay, so now I'm just going to wrap right into that space. And indeed, I have exactly 2 coils, but whatever number of coils it takes to wrap into that space, go ahead and do that, because if you just leave bare wire, it's just a little bit more likely to break in that spot, because these coils are not just decorative, they're also keeping your bead in place, and they're keeping your wire from bending. Okay, we're almost done, you guys. So what I have left to do is I have my little ball pin, And of course, I have a little Celtic heart, which is oh so cute. And I'm going to string that onto the ball pin, and then I'm going to pick up one of the 11-0 beads so that it's like this. And it makes it, so having that 11-0 bead just makes it a lot easier to wrap. Otherwise, you have to wrap into the dip in the heart, and that is not easy. So I am going to just start making a loop again. And that little bead wants to slide up, and we're not going to let it. We're just going to hold it in place as we make our loop and center it. So there's my loop. And of course, this is going to be just our fun little bauble right at the end of our extender chain, because you know, when you have the chain and there's nothing at the end, it does not look finished. I don't like that look, so I always have a little bauble at the end of my extender chain, whether it's a bracelet or a necklace. And I'm just wrapping, and once I'm done coiling, I will cut off the excess wire. And of course, always we're going to squeeze that little end and pinch it right in so that it's not a weapon. And guess what? We are done. So this is what it looks like. I know it doesn't quite go with my Roman glass, but you know, it makes me so happy. It just looks so fresh and so springy. And it's not like an in-your-face Celtic or St. Patty's type of bracelet, but it's definitely a little bit of a nod to St. Patty's, and I like that. But you can wear it whenever, and it's definitely kind of a spring bracelet to me. Okay, so this is our other variation, and since we're done with it, we are going to, mostly this is going to be a show and tell kind of thing with our elegant Celtic bracelet. So let me show you.
Can you bring the elegant one to the front, please?
I can. Thanks. And you know what I forgot? I have a tray in here somewhere, or maybe I took it.
With the links?
With the links. So I just need a couple of links. I actually don't know if I left it in my office, but I need just 2 links and 1 bead. So as Tony is looking for my couple of links for the Celtic Elegance Bracelet, so let me just say, so the technique here is going to be almost exactly the same as the 2 little wrapped links we just created. So this is incredibly simple, because all we're going to do is keep using those little loop components to connect all the links. And then of course we're going to do the same thing to connect both the clasp and the chain.
Lorraine says very pretty.
Oh, thank you so much, Lorraine. I really appreciate it. But I do have a little hint for you as far as how to make your loops face in the direction where they do not appear twisted. So let me ask you this. Do you ever connect your loops and you kind of go, okay, one side of the loop appears twisted? So that's because every loop has kind of a top and a bottom. So the part of the loop you want to place on top is the part that does not appear twisted. So if you look at the back of my bracelet, can you see there's like a slight offset to the 2 loops? But then looking at the very same link, we're going to flip it over. And can you see how the link appears really straight? Okay, tell me if you guys know what I'm talking about, because I know it sounds really kind of a little crazy and slightly nitpicky, but if you want to be a little bit of a perfectionist about your loops, this is what you do. So tell me, I just want a little validation. Does this make any sense? Okay, so in the meantime, I'm going to get started. So this is what you do. Remember how we said that these links are one-sided. So there's a bit of a curve, and so obviously they're all going to all face one way. That's what I'm saying. So when we start making our loop,
Carmen says yes, and Kathy K says that the link lines up.
yeah, so you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Okay.
Allie says yes, it does.
So I'm going to show you exactly how to make it line up every time. So there's a beginning to each loop and there's an end. The beginning is like what we have right now. So this side of our loop is the beginning. And I'm going to start making the loop. And of course, if you want all your loops to be consistent in size and in shape, this is the way to go. I'm talking about just making your loops with the bracelet making pliers. I mean, this is like the easiest way to do it. Okay, so now of course I'm going to align the wire so that it's at a nice 90-degree angle.
Connie says yes, it does.
Oh,
and
fantastic.
Hammy J says got it.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm glad it makes sense. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to place the link upside down. So you can see this is right side up, this is upside down. We place the link upside down, and the side where I started the loop, right now that side is up, okay? So we put the link onto the wire, we slide it into the loop, and look, it just lines up. So always the first part of the loop is going to be up, and the second part of the loop is down. Does that make sense? So the part of the loop that you make last is always going to be on the bottom. And that is how we align our loops. Okay, so now of course I'm going to make a little coil and snip the excess wire and tuck the tail in so that it doesn't hurt anyone. It'll be easier if I flip it over. And we're going to slide our bead onto the wire. So now, in order to line up the loops so that the second loop we make does not appear twisted, we're going to make the beginning of the loop towards the top. How do we do that? By bending the wire up towards what's going to be the front of the necklace. Okay, so it's that front of the necklace that's always going to line up with the first part of the loop when you're making a bracelet like this. You know, I think in most projects, it really doesn't matter, and you really don't need to keep track of which side is which. But in a bracelet like this, because it is so very minimal, and every little detail is going to show up, it's just kind of nice to know this little technique where you make all the loops look nicely lined up.
Amy says maybe it'll make more sense when I'm making the bracelet.
Yeah, I think it's a very hands-on kind of thing. Like if you were in my class, I would, you know, show you in person, I would watch you. But yes, it's definitely one of those things that will make way more sense if you are doing it. Okay, guys, so again, do you see the loop? Well, let me line this up just a tiny bit more. Okay, so the two loops are beautifully lined up, right? You flip it over and they're just slightly off, correct?
So you can't help it. You can't possibly make it lined up both top and bottom. So if we have to have something that's just a bit off, it's much better to have it at the bottom, right? So, and who's going to ever see it? So that is really it. That's all of my tricks for these two bracelets. So now let me just do a little bit of show and tell. So when you assemble the Celtic Elegance bracelet, all you're going to do is just follow those same directions to assemble the entire thing. And so when you get to the point where you're connecting the clasp, it's still the same link. When you get to the chain, it is still the same link. And that's about it. So then once you attach the chain, you're going to attach the little bauble in the very, very same way as we did on this bracelet. So in fact, you attach both the clasp and the chain and the bauble in the very, very same way. So you tell me, do we need to have a little bit more of a demo in attaching the clasp and the chain? I'm just going to follow your lead because I think we covered it all. So let me know if you have any questions as far as the construction of either one of these bracelets. So I think because the technique is so redundant, as far as especially that last little connector, I think we've covered it, right? But you know what? I could be wrong for the first time ever. And so you guys tell me if you want me to demo anything else. So in the meantime, I'm just going to lay out all of our fun little samples so we can look at them one more time and pick your favorites. So we have 3 different colors in the Celtic Elegance. That's the one with the Celtic knot. And we have 2 different color options in shades of shamrock. But again, it's up to you as far as what you do with those color options.
Fonda's wondering what gauge wire you used for the links.
Oh, thank you for asking, Fonda. It is 22 gauge, which a lot of the time, that is my go-to. I will not say every time, because definitely I use other gauges, but a lot of the time when I make wrap loops, 22 gauge is the first thing that I reach for. Okay, ladies, so what do you think? So since we have no questions,
and the Aeronite AB is sold out. We'll check stock after the video and see if we can restock that.
Oh, okay, sounds great. Yes, we will definitely check and we'll do our best to restock. And of course, the Aeronite is the most popular one because guess what? It is the green. But, you know, I am not a traditional person. You know, if I can be a 4% Irish person from Ukraine, I can be Irish and wear pink. So, so in the meantime, I have a little preview for you. So for tomorrow, we have another shopping event, and this is a very new thing for me, you guys, but I have to say I've really been enjoying these events because I get to share my awesome treasures. And you know, I buy everything in person and I literally hand pick everything that I buy. So it's not like some guy sends me whatever he picks. No, I pick everything myself as much as I can. So tomorrow we have a Roman glass and more shopping event. So this is tomorrow, March 17th, and I hope you join me for this. So this is at 9 a.m. CST on the Eclectica page. And obviously, this is just a little teaser as is my so it's not so much a teaser, but I made it a point to wear my bracelet that's made with Roman glass, of course, as well as my necklace. And so I'll have a lot of samples for you tomorrow. And I have so many different styles of Roman glass. It's pretty crazy. And I picked some really fun things that are very complementary to the Roman glass. And then, let's see, next Thursday, I am going to be making After the Rain necklace. Right now it's just a pendant. It's not a necklace. So it's a work in progress. But by next Thursday it will be a necklace.
Just in time for spring.
Just in time
if
for
it ever
spring.
gets here.
So, you know, After the Rain, the name is like, it's really inspired by spring rains and of course flowers. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but these are actual flowers inside of these little glass charms, as well as more flowers. So if you can't wait to see spring flowers, you're probably going to enjoy this necklace. Because I'm just craving flowers so much right now. Okay, but wait, there's more. And then we also decided that next Friday, after tomorrow, so the Friday a week from tomorrow, we are going to be we're going to be exploring some focal point beads. So that's all of my preview, ladies. And if you, you've been giving me a lot of great feedback as far as events that you would like to see. And I love it. I love it so much. I can't even tell you because, I try to read your mind, but, I'm still working on it. But when you do share what it is that you would like to see in future events, it just really makes me so happy because there's so many different ways that I can go. And I really enjoy suggestions and I enjoy exploration of maybe something that was suggested by someone else because, it makes me grow.
Amy says, love your necklace.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Allie says, love the After the Rain. So pretty.
Oh, thank you so much.
Patricia says, I love it all.
Yay. Thanks, Patricia.
Lori says, beautiful.
Thank you so much, Lori.
Jane says, wow.
Oh, Jane, thank you so much for your wow. All right, ladies. So thank you for all of the likes and wows and comments and suggestions. And keep those suggestions coming. In the meantime, I will see you tomorrow for some really awesome Roman glass. Again, this is just a teaser, but we have so much to show you. Oh my gosh.
Amy says thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Lorraine says thank you.
Thank you.
Kim K says love the colors. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying my colors.
Karen says good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. And you guys have a great night. Make a lot of fun jewelry. So enjoy being creative. And sorry.
Lori says thank you so much. And Connie says thank you so much. Kathy says thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies. And I will see you in the morning and we'll have a blast.